High is about both cocaine addiction and a toxic relationship. So, a lot of toxic relationships can have these incredible highs and then really, really tragic lows. But the highs are what keep you stuck in that loop and kind of going back, doing it all over again. And maybe it's because the bad times are so dark that when things are going well, you just feel incredible. You're warm and the sun's on your face and the wind's in your hair, and you forget the bad things that have happened, and you can kid yourself that they won't happen again. But then when things do go badly again, it's such a punch in the gut, and it's almost so bad that nothing except starting that cycle over again will make you feel better. So you just go through it over and over and over again. And I think that's the same with a lot of functional addiction. So there are these fun, gregarious people that are the life of the party, and everyone loves them when they're partying, and love to spend time with them. And then when reality kicks in the morning after, it's too bleak to stand, and they can't wait to just be drinking, doing lines, whatever, partying all over again. So that is what I wanted to capture in this song, sort of the progression from the warmth and the euphoria and the fun, with a little bit of a dark undertone, because it's maybe not quite what you should be doing, and then the sort of, I don't know, I guess, regression down into, okay, this doesn't feel so good. I'm sort of being controlled by my own life. I'm not in control. I'm not at the wheel. I'm just getting sort of thrown around. And then finally understanding how dark and how bad and how toxic it is what you're doing. But it being just too hard to admit that. And so you go back and you do it all again from the beginning. As far as the writing process goes, so that line at the very beginning of the song, crushed up sunlight comes in through the blinds, that came to me one day while I was on the train to work. I think it was probably a sunny day, and it just it inspired me. But what I was sort of conceptualizing was the visual of warmth on your face, the lines obviously having a bit of symbolism in the song, and then there are the little dust particles that you can see floating in the sunlight. And that reminded me of the feeling of when you're in this type of loop. You're warm and you're sort of suspended in indecision, knowing that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, but you don't want to move out of that warmth because that's where it's uncomfortable. Like, it feels nice to be warm and not admitting and not thinking about the reality. And that if you stop, that warmth is just going to fall away. It's cold. And so you stay and you're just suspended like one of those dust particles. And that's really how I felt about the person in my life that was the addict, that kind of talks about the cocaine side of the song is about that relationship. And that person, I think, lived in exactly that place where he couldn't look anywhere else, couldn't step anywhere else, because this was the only place that it was warm. And stepping outside of that would just be too much to bear. And I think that is what a lot of addiction looks like from the outside, or toxic relationships look like from the outside. They look all nice and soft and gentle and slow from the outside, but when you're on the receiving end, or when you're the one experiencing it, it's so much more chaotic than that, which of course is where the kind of glitches and chaotic backing vocals and all that kind of stuff come into the production. And I worked on this song with Salil Verma and Peter Neuenberg from Sound of Kalama. So I went over to their place one night with just the first verse written, got on the keyboard, wrote the bass line, and that was sort of the foundation of the song. And honestly, we chewed over this song for months and months and months. We went, all sorts of different directions with the production. It was like more poppy, and then it was way more dark, and then we were trying to make it like a real banger. And at one point before that slow kind of end, whether you want to call it last verse, post chorus, outro, that slow bit at the end, we had the sound of like a car crash and then sirens fading out. But eventually we just went back to an earlier version that felt like kind of boppy, kind of light, but chaotic with the glitches, and smooth at the same time. And that for me is what the song is really all about.